Spence, 97 Old Dock Road, West Falmouth, for permission to install a stainless steel removable davit at the end of an existing licensed stone pier to support an inflatable runabout.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until June 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, hearing none, motion on the table is for a continuance to June 19th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Anastasios Perifestis, 65 Falmouth Heights Road, Falmouth, for permission to dredge a 9,000 square foot area to a depth of 10 feet by removing approximately 300 cubic yards of material from Falmouth Inner Harbor for the benefit of 65 Falmouth Heights Road. The project includes harvest and relocation of shellfish in the dredge area, dewatering the material on a barge, deposition into trucks, and transportation to another waterfront location for beach nourishment to create a coastal dune.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until June 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
How many continuances?
This project had.
Well, they needed to, it's had a couple, but they needed to get test results, and now they have the
They're
test
doing,
results.
yeah, they did
Jen has the
supplemental
information,
corings,
Okay.
core
but the
sampling.
engineer won't be available for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is a continuance to June 19th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Vote, minutes. May 15th?
Read the minutes from May 15th and find them to be substantially
Second.
correct, and I'll move their adoption.
Okay, we have a second and a motion. Are there any questions? Okay, motion on the table is to accept the minutes for 5:15. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Hold your horses on this one. Minutes
Maybe.
for 5:20. Minutes for 5:22.
Yes, Madam Chair, I've read the minutes from 5:22, find them correct, and move their adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the minutes of the 22nd of May. And no questions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Courtney and Mike. Request for determination of applicability. Town of Falmouth Engineering Department, care of Scott Schluter, Courier Road between Nathaniel Ellis Highway, that's 151, and Sandwich Road, East Falmouth, for permission to rebuild the roadway surface within the existing configuration that includes installation of new drainage structures outside the resource area and buffer to a Schumann pond to reduce and treat stormwater and to replace the existing guardrail structure.
Yes, Madam Chairman, we have reviewed the project, and staff is recommending a -2 under the bylaw and -3 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? And for anybody who's confused, a negative determination means it's good? Is that what you said? Means it's good? Means you can go ahead with the project? And it's good. Motion and second on the table to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination so the town can go ahead with this project. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Continued request for determination of applicability. Roberta Hutchinson, 77 Gifford Street, Falmouth, for permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool and install a new Title V sewage disposal system, install a second-story dormer and outdoor shower.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project, and at this point, we are recommending a -2 under the bylaw, -3 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
Move to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination, which means Ms. Hutchinson can go ahead with the project. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Oh, I didn't even get a chance. Enjoy the game. Request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are heard simultaneously under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority.
Madam Chairman, I must recuse myself.
For, okay, but I haven't quite gotten to that point. I just have to
I
say.
don't know what the proper
Yep,
time to say this.
Okay, Linda Spence, 97 Old Dock Road, that's been continued to June 19th. Now you can go.
Thank you.
Okay, Martin Murphy, 195 Great Bay Street, East Falmouth, for permission to raise RAISE, the existing house, up from the foundation, to construct a new foundation, reconnect utilities, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen, do you have any questions before we start?
No, Madam Chairman, I only want the board to know you received a plan that, is this the one Tommy folded for us, that Tommy folded for you?
Yes.
Today, it was only because the location of a few of the shrubs were moved and a few of the tree species were swapped out for something more appropriate to the area. Those were the only changes.
Okay. Good evening, Jack, and welcome.
For the record, my name is Jack Landers-Cully. I'm a civil engineer in private practice, and I've been retained by the representative of the owners of the property to prepare the plan that's before you this evening. The plan is this one right here. It's mounted on another project. What it is it's a house located in the Mara Vista area. I will be brief. It's to the west side of Great Bay Street. We located the wetlands, everything to all the wetlands, that is vegetated wetlands and physical wetlands, as the top of bank, are east of Great Bay Street. What it is we propose to do is take this structure, which I would best describe as a summer home built a long time ago. It doesn't have what we would consider a foundation per se by today's standards. It's on a combination of block, there might be some posts, but it's a summer cottage. What it is the owners of the property would like to physically just raise it up, take the other foundation, and put a new foundation complying with the state code today. They're doing so, the principal reason they're doing this is that one of the two members grew up summers here, been here for 60 years, now wants to reside here for the remainder of his life with his spouse. So in order to do that, they need a basement, basically, and they need to bring it up to code. They need to insulate it. They need to put a heating system in it. Their hot water heater is right here, affixed to a little lean-to that's attached to the house. They want to put that in the basement. So they literally just want to pick it up, take out the old foundation, put it back in the same precise spot. In light of doing that, and because it has to come before the Conservation Commission, we met with the staff several times. They recommend plantings, so we're going to propose 4 trees and 2 shrubs as mitigation. That's about it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, let's see if anybody has any questions. Let's start with Jen.
Madam Chairman, the only reason that the trees were required is because of an old administrative review that was done to remove some trees. And I honestly don't know the reason those trees were removed under the admin, but Mark remembers going out there requiring them to plant a new one, and that was never done. So that's why the trees are being replaced. There's no expansion in footprint at all.
None whatsoever.
So
Yeah, they
that's
should
why.
be nice.
Jack, the only thing,
Conservative.
and Betsy had mentioned this, you might need a limit of work along Great Bay Street just because you're digging the foundation.
We
Okay?
can add it and
Yeah, that's fine.
resubmit.
Yeah, I mean,
We can
when
add
the
a limit of
project
work.
starts.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it could just be.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put it right on the property
What are-
line.
what
Yeah,
those
just
what
right
we'll
on the
do.
property, just a
Right.
limit of work, just to contain any, loose soil or anything like that on the property, and that's it. That's all I have.
Just one quick question. This is a full depth basement, or like 7 to 6, or what's that?
That's correct. That is correct, Courtney.
No other questions?
Okay, Tom?
site management is going to be written into the order, just because it is, you're removing quite a bit of fill in here. There's going to be a lot of activity that is going to be raised up, and you're going to be mucking that all up for a little while. And if we have the rains that we have had over the last month, it does become a concern, not drastic, but site management, the contractor has to realize that the containment of all that materials is going to be
Stay on
his,
that lot.
it's going to be his responsibility. So it may need to have a properly installed siltation fence along the road edge, so that's the only slope is going that way. Everything
Yeah,
else is pretty flat.
the lot is basically flattish, but
Yes.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and what we can do is we can put a silt fencing with a straw bale
I don't even know if you have to
reinforcing.
have straw bales, I'm not a big fan. A trenched-in, properly installed siltation fence contains quite a bit, and if you have a little, if you feel the need to put a log on the back side of it, that's
Yeah.
fine. But I'm not overly convinced anymore about that. Yeah, the straw bales are not anything that I'm, because they end up deteriorating, at least that log, or whatever,
Biosock.
Yeah.
biosoc,
Biosoc, yeah.
has some integrity to it over a period of time.
And it's easy to,
And,
relatively easy and clean to remove.
right, and
Straw
that's my
bales
only
damage
concern,
it.
is just the site management of
Okay.
this, of the soils. Because that's only gonna be temporary, because then your backfilling is all done, then you have no issues. So, thank you.
Mike,
No questions or comments?
Tommy.
No questions.
Motion to close and take it under advisement?
Second.
Okay, any further questions on the board?
Jack has a question.
No, I'll just add that limit of work and coordinate it with the staff.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Jack.
it'll
Okay.
be,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
when you get that in,
And
then
Jack,
Jen
yeah,
can-
like a mulch tube, the trenched-in silt fence.
Yeah, I'm familiar
Straw
with it.
bales can be actually quite damaging. It might do more damage to your site. So,
yeah, you can talk,
yep, we're good.
and you can just submit a map showing where, that there's gonna be a limit of work there. And then Jen can talk to you about what
Right
it's
in.
gonna be.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table. Are there any questions from the audience? No questions from the audience? No further questions from you or comments? No? No? Jen warned everybody to be short and sweet tonight?
Yes.
Okay, motion
That's for your
and a
fault.
second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thanks, Jack.
You're welcome.
Okay, Martha and Henry Lartigue, 167 Fay Road, Woods Hole, for permission to remove invasive vegetation and to restore approximately 10,700 square feet with native vegetation, the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Mario? You might want to turn around and recuse yourself. Madam Chairman, Lartique's representatives are not here at this point, so
Oh.
could we table that and
We have
move
a
on
table?
to?
Motion to table, I can't,
And we can
I'm
move
gonna
on to
recuse
12
myself.
Circle
Oh, you do?
Road.
Could we have a motion to table?
Make a motion to table this hearing.
Okay, motion to table Lartigue. We have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Moving on to continued request for hearing under a notice of intent. The first is Anastasios Perifestis, 65 Falmouth Heights Road, and that's continued to June 19th. The next, I guess you have to go again.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I was trying to
Gail-
tell you, Mario, sorry.
Dambrick, 12 Circle Road, Wacoit, for permission to remove the existing failing wood retaining wall and dump stones, deck, and patio to replace and reconstruct in the same area, but with a smaller deck, patio, and retaining wall, and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. This
Yeah.
is continued. This is for you. I know you've worked hard with your engineer and with staff on this project.
Madam
So-
Chairman, the quorum on this is Courtney, Tommy, Mike, Betsy, and Tom.
Okay?
Soloway.
And would you like to make any comments?
No, only that the plan has been revised in accordance with both the commission and the staff's concern. I'm trying to find my plan. Here it is. Oops, there it goes. You all should be looking, sorry, Madam Chairman,
I'm looking for mine also.
at a plan date May 29th, and one by, just looked at it this afternoon. There it is. No, that's not it.
Yeah, there's another plan by Jack Vaccaro that...
Yeah, another
that-
plan by Jack
which is dated the
Vaccaro.
same date. And just a point of clarification, I was telling Jen today, when we submitted these a week ago, my plotter broke, so I gave you the revised plans on 11 by 17s, and then today, we submitted identical plans at full scale on 18 by 24.
Right.
But they're the same plans
Tommy
that Tom
folded.
folded in, thank you very much. While Jen's looking for that,
Yeah,
why don't
I have reviewed
why
Jack
don't I
Vaccaro's
move
plans.
forward while she's looking for that?
Okay.
The staff was very
Okay,
kind to
good.
meet us 2 times, once with Mrs. Van Broek and once on another occasion. And it was to address all the issues that were discussed in the first meeting. As a result of that discussion, we changed the design to be pretty much consistent with all the
Yep.
the desires of this board. We addressed the size of the deck and made it the size that was recommended. We looked at the sonotubes and we changed the depth and the location of them and how they're going to be fastened so they're not up against the bulkhead. We actually asked for something that wasn't discussed, but we believe is consistent with your regulation, and that is if you're familiar with the site, and you remember, there's no way for our client to get from the upland edge down to the lower edge, so we asked for a set of stairs here, 3.5 feet wide. Other than that, it's consistent in just about every single way. We show a typical cross-section of what it is that we're now proposing, typical cross-section of the stairway. In anticipation of what the board might say is, what does that mean in the way of planting? What I can tell you is Jack Vaccaro modified the planting in such a way that we are now removing the wall, removing the stones, putting 2 biologs at the base for stabilization. It's shown in the cross-section here. And he is, in effect, planting 320 square feet, which it represents this area right here. I didn't include these. That is exclusive of the biolog. The physical location of the biolog I did not include in the calculation. So it's 320 square feet outside this footprint. Now, we put a note here saying the beginning of the biolog will be determined in the field. When Jack prepared this, he wasn't certain exactly where we should start. I actually went out and I thought it should start here. Now, this is the 10 scale, which is everything I just described, excluding the plantings. This is the planting at a different scale, which represents this. And then we have the cross-section on a 3rd page, which just simply shows the former location of the wall, the 2 biologs, the flat, the existing slope, and the proposed slope. So you can see that it's basically the same. Jen and I discussed the methodology of construction. This is all going to be done by hand. No one piece is that big that you need a machine. It just, you need 3 or 4 young, energetic men and women to go in there and clean it out, and then they're going to have to come back and fix it. That's really what it comes down to. So there's no need to have equipment back there. We show an 8-foot wide construction access just to identify it. In reality, they probably need 4 or 5 feet. They can stock all the material on the upland side or between the house and the road. The only material they really should have is wood for the deck. They'll have some sonotube, and the majority of the material will be actually plant stock. And I don't know when they're going to plant. I'm not familiar enough with this inventory of plants, whether to know that they're available in the summer and the fall or not. And to that end, I know it has to be done soon. I know the bank stabilization can be done right away, but I just don't know enough about the plant inventory, and I'm sure I can get clarification from Jack on that. So that's it.
Okay. Let's, any further questions, Jen?
Only that another change, they're gonna wrap the biologs underneath the dock. We had talked about that, extending them around.
Right, and that's
Yep.
what we did.
Yep.
Yeah, we extended.
Also, Jack, remember, and I know you and I discussed this, and Mike had concerns with this at the last hearing, that sonotube next to the house in the middle of the deck, there was some concerns about whether or not that was going to jeopardize the existing foundation of that house.
Two answers. They're going to fasten the deck to the sill of the house,
Okay.
so that will eliminate the need to put sonotubes right beside the house. And we're putting, this tube is actually in the footprint of the walkway. These are 4.5 feet away, and they're only 4 feet deep. So at a 1-to-1 slope, which I'm pretty sure they can maintain without undermining the footing, they should be able to get them in there quickly.
Okay, that was just a concern from the last hearing, and your plantings should be fine as long as they're watered and maintained. They should be fine at this time of year. I do not want that site bare without those plantings in. So when the work does need to be coordinated with any sort of landscaping, that's going to be done. 'Cause as soon as you put those the biologs in, you're going to want to plant them.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I'm not sure Mike doesn't have a question, and I know Mrs. Bambrick is.
Call on Mike for a
Okay.
question.
But other than that, everything was done in accordance with my discussion with the applicant.
Okay. Mike?
How are you getting those sonotubes in?
Well, they're made of plastic and/or cardboard, so they're going to have to be done by hand. People can dig a hole 4 feet deep by hand.
Yes.
It would take more work to bring a little Kubota around and fill that area to dig a hole, just to regrade it back. But right here, Mike, for about 4 feet out, there's already concrete patio.
Right.
They're going to remove that, they're going to remove the deck, and then they're going to have to dig those by hand. And they're actually 3.8 feet down, I think, 3 feet 10 inches.
Yeah. And you don't know where the foundation for the building is?
I don't. It's an old structure. Generally, these old structures have foundations about 2 feet deep, 2.5 feet deep. You know, they're 2 blocks deep. I think Tom would tell you, he's probably seen many of them. So we're talking about something 2 feet deep here and 4 feet deep. 4 feet away.
I think you're doing a good job with what you got in trying to protect the resources. So my fears as a engineer are maybe misplaced, and I just give you caution that you could break that house.
That's a different story. We could talk about that. Yeah,
As
that's
an
it.
engineer, I can't help but
Yeah.
bring it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That home needs work. I agree with you.
Wait, may I?
Sure, you have to come up.
Okay, can I come up? I just want to follow up on what do you mean break the house?
Ma'am, you have to say who you are
Oh,
also.
okay, I'm sorry.
We know who you are, but the television audience doesn't.
Sure, hi, everybody. I'm Gail Bambrick, and I'm the half owner of the property. And I was just, when you said, I want to hear, I'd love to hear more of your concern about the structure of the house.
You are digging a foundation that may be below the foundation of the house. The house is distressed, I guess is a fair word. In the process of doing it, if things go wrong, unintentionally, you could cause some more distress of that house.
Okay.
So
He's afraid there'll
I'm-
be a shift
I understand,
It'll be
yeah.
a
You're-
shift.
So
If
what
you
about
stand and look at, if you stand and look at the house, either the house is pulled from the chimney or the chimney is going north. I'm not sure which.
There are issues, Mike, I understand that.
Okay.
I went one step further because I know, I spoke to a ladder on several occasions about other projects. If we were not to attach this to the house, it would not be considered part of the structure of the house. In the past, we've been able to actually just create the patio without a traditional footing, because it's not part of the structure. And the reason I've had these conversations is compliance with zoning issues we have, being X number of feet away either from certain water elevation, because we have a zoning enforcement in that way, or a sideline issue, and Tom may have run across this as well. We have that as a reserve. They can go in, they can dig, they can find out how deep the footing is. If it is shallower than I think, then we can always go back and speak to Eladio to that point.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
Tommy? No question.
No questions. Thank you.
Tom?
This is a big leap forward. It's the beginning of a project. This is not the last part by far, especially when they do attach it to the house. I don't have as strong a concern as Mike does. It's particularly hand digging, and the tubes that you're talking about are similar to what was put in North Falmouth that time. It was unpermitted, and they put them in. That house in North Falmouth. So those are fairly substantial pieces. And I think that the hand digging, this is the beginning of a process. You're gonna have a really nice deck attached to a distressed structure that needs attention. And it's as good a spot to start and go from the water in as possible. And I think you've addressed creatively on some of that with the fiber roll and such. So I look forward to a successful project for you. Thank you.
Courtney?
No questions.
Okay, I just want to make a comment, because I happened to come down when the two of you were working with Jen, and sometimes I was just interviewed for NCTV as to how the process works. And one of the things I urge is that if people have questions on projects, it's best to get together with staff ahead of time and to go over these. And sometimes you come to the commission and hear some of the commission's concerns and then address them. And Jack works with us all the time, and he's way up there on the learning curve. You're new for us, and, thank you for working with the system. That's how the system is supposed to work.
And then one more statement, just that I love that area, and I'm so happy to be able to protect it. I mean, that's why I love it, because I love, protecting the environment and Washington Falls.
Good. Well,
Good.
hopefully,
So as long as I'm alive, which will be at least a few more years, that's staying with me. So
All right.
that's the place. Thank you.
all right, that's good.
I'll move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Okay, any further questions? Any further questions? No. Okay, motion, and a second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. And Jack will tell you what the process is. We close now, and we'll vote in a week or two on it, and then you'll have an order, and you'll be able to start working. So, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All in favor, did I take the motion?
No.
All in favor of the motion on the table, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Madam Chairman, just go on to 402 Wild Harbor, and then we'll go back to
Okay.
Lartigue and then Alder Lane.
Okay, for people who are late to the meeting? And why would Dan be late to the meeting?
Oh, that's not because Dan was late, I just don't want Mario to walk back and then go back again, like he's doing right now.
Oh, Mario, stay out again.
Back up again.
What are we doing now?
We're gonna do 402
Charles
Wild
and
Harbor.
Susan Moran, 402 Wild Harbor Road, North Falmouth, for permission to reconstruct an existing 340 linear foot riprap retaining wall that includes regarding and filling, regrading, I think that should be,
Yeah, regrading.
regrading and filling, this is sometimes a creative thing to read. Behind the wall, clearing for construction access, replacement of utilities and vegetation after construction, rebuild of wood retaining wall, repaving of the driveway, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Gentlemen in the back row. Sorry,
Sorry about that.
Jen.
Yes, Madam Chairman, our quorum for this is Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom. And Courtney.
Thank you, Jen.
Not a problem.
Jack,
Good evening.
We're-
My name is Jack.
we're back here again.
Yeah.
We're back with you again.
Yeah. For the record, my name is Jack Landers Colley. I've been retained by the Morans to present the plan that's before you this evening. This is continuance. It actually was continued twice, the first time by an error of me, and again, I want to thank you for being so considerate and continuing it. During the second continuance, we presented the plan. As a result of that meeting, we were sent back to the drawing board. We met with staff. What we did is follow your advice for the most part. That is, we changed the slope of the riprap wall. We moved it upland. We got it out of the intertidal area. We did not change the top. What we did is we just changed it from the bottom. We went from a 2-to-1 slope to a 1-to-1 slope, in effect pushing it back on an average of about 8 feet. It's kind of a busy plan because it shows a number of different lines, but just to remind you, what we're doing is we're rebuilding this portion of wall. The testimony I gave is that it's a wall that's been in place sometime since 1960 and 1962. We submitted a letter from a neighbor stating that she remembers it there prior to 1965. We looked at GIS maps. We got a 1978 map that showed it clearly. There's a 1965 map that showed it. The 1960 map, I couldn't tell, to be honest with you. The people who flew at Coley said, oh yeah, it's there, but when they sent me the negatives, I couldn't see it. Maybe because of their orthoscopic equipment, they could determine it. What we propose to do is construction access is down this existing driveway. We have to create up to here, the driveway or circle ends. Here we have to remove some shrubbery, and then our construction access begins here. Some of the things the board requested was identifying all the trees in this area, which we did do and we show on the plan, and they're labeled. We met with staff in regards to that. The second was to discuss the landscaping plan. Jack Vaccaro also presented this, and we met with staff, and I think it's fair to say that we have an agreement on the plant community and what we're doing. To characterize what that is that we're proposing to fill behind the rebuilt wall with sediment that is compatible to the geology in that area. And what I said is, prior to construction, what we'll do is we'll take 2 random grab samples, have a sieve test done, determine the texture, composition of the shoreline, and recommend that. Having said that, that's to within 6 inches of finish grade. Finish grade will then be a combination of either I'll use the term clean sand to allow for the moffla to be planted as well as other beach species, and then the random placement of loam for shrub material that requires something a little more organic. Generally, all the plants will be lightly fertilized in order for them to take, but the plants being indigenous don't need to be repeatedly fertilized. It's just so they can get a jump start. To reiterate, we are not removing any vegetation above the eroded area. It's not necessary. All the work will be done in such a manner as we come down. They have to remove the stones, take them, put them out of the way, and then build this backwards. So they'll probably build 15, 20 feet at a time. Actually, they'll probably build more like 40 feet at a time, backfill behind it, 40 feet, backfill behind it, unless they have enough room where they can backfill in larger, during larger periods of time. But I think it's going to be complicated in the sense that they're going to have to build a portion of wall, they're going to have to support that rock by backfilling, build a portion, support the rock, or put the slope in, build a rock, put the slope in, build a rock, and they'll have to do it incrementally. We do show, we have on the second page a blow-up of this area at 10 scale, and it shows 3 cross-sections identified as A, B, and C. Simply depicts that we're going to have a 1-to-1 slope, that the wall will be 12 feet high in one location, it will be, and it will go down to, I can't remember now, I think it's 8. Yeah, it varies in height from 12 to 8. The 12 being here, the 8 being down here. And it's just a matter of necessity. This is more dynamic, this is less dynamic. The less dynamic area is lower. It was always lower. In fact, we had the advantage of when we were doing research that Bremen Engineering actually shot the location of this wall and shot the top elevations, and what we did is we just replicated it. It's 8 here, it's approximately 8 here, approximately 10 here, approximately 12 here. So it's going to taper a little bit. And that kind of makes sense too, because it's elevation 8 here, 7 here, 9 here, but along here it's 14 and 13, so it's a little bit higher. I think that's about it, unless you have some specific questions.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Jen, do you have any further questions?
I don't have any other questions, Madam Chairman, just that there's going to be a lot of requirements and conditions with this because of the time it's going to take to construct a wall, and I've spoken to Jack and Jack about this. There's probably going to be a requirement, or I would recommend a requirement for an environmental monitor on the site while they're doing the wall, and also to meet with me, basic with the contractor, but also with the landscaper afterwards. So there'll be a couple of different site visits that will be required with the staff, with the people that are going to be doing the actual physical work on this property.
Okay, I
But
think
other
this
than
is,
that-
this is one of those cases where Courtney recommended years ago that contractors sign that they've read and understood the
Yep.
order of conditions. And
Mhm.
I think any contractor on this project, and for any of our major projects, it has to be every contractor that's involved has to do that.
Yes,
And that's
and that's,
the responsibility of the overall person.
Oh, it's a real good idea. Realistically, there should be at least 2 inspectors, one for the tail end, for the landscaping and such,
Yep.
the other for the building of the wall. And I spoke to Jack Ficarra about that already, and obviously, depending on what the language of the order of conditions are, we're prepared to respond to that dynamically, so.
Okay. It's just,
yeah,
This
we
is-
had this discussion when I met with you and Jack.
yeah, we have had cases in the past where there's been more than one contractor, and contractors down the line say, well, we didn't know there was an order of conditions on this site. And my comment usually is, did you see water? Well, that's a good clue.
Clue.
So, let's see if
No,
there
it's
is
it's
any
tough,
questions.
because a lot of clients just, once the permit's issued, that's the last we see of the project.
Right,
Until
right.
2 years later, or 12 years later, we have to get a certificate of compliance.
Yeah.
So
Well, you know both sides.
oh, yeah, I do.
Tommy, any other
I have no questions. No.
I think that all my concerns have been addressed.
Jack, you are right, this plan does have a lot of, could you just, with your finger, show me what you're representing as the construction access on that plan?
Absolutely. I brought a marker. Right along here, this is all paved,
Yep,
and this, in my original presentation, was the area where they store equipment.
yep,
This is all paved. It's paved like this. What we're doing is we're cutting this corner off. This is a stone parking area right here.
yes,
Okay, that's all in place already.
yes,
In order to get down here, we have to cut cut through this area.
Okay.
This is already an existing walkway, and then we have to cut through this area. And the explanation I gave is I'm real concerned about the stability of this concrete bulkhead. Otherwise, I'd move access way closer to it, but it's old.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that we'd have some problems with settling and possibly failure of the concrete slab. So I wanted to stay away from it. And then, in order to make the corner, there's a large Amorphla stand here that's going to be rebuilt. And then, interspersed in this area are phragmites that are going to be mechanically removed and noted in the landscape plan.
Now, do you have any idea how large a machine they're gonna use?
To lay that stone, you're going to have to use an excavator.
Yeah, right, I'm just wondering, do you know what size per chance?
No, I can't tell you.
Okay.
I can't tell you that.
Because that corner, I agree with you. You're gonna have a lot of activity, numerous trips, and a lot of weight coming into that corner. And that would be, my only precautionary to you is that, you know, that's gonna be something you want to keep an eye on. And you've addressed my concern on that, so, thank you.
Courtney?
I have no questions, and I'll move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second?
Okay, thanks for addressing commissioners and staff's concerns. There's a motion. Are there any questions from the audience? There's a motion and a second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And your consideration.
Let's go on to Alder Lane, and then we'll circle back.
Okay.
David Schnell, 232 Alder Lane, North Falmouth, for permission to reconstruct a 5-bedroom, single-family house with additions, deck with stairs, outdoor shower wall, new Title V sewage disposal system, pervious driveway, front walkway, utilities, AC units, dry wells to remove trees, install native and ornamental plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'll save any of my additional comments until after. Oh, I need a quorum. Sorry, Susan. Quorum is Mike, Betsy, Tom, and Courtney. This is why I needed you, Courtney.
Mike, Betsy, Tom, Courtney. Oh, it was the
15?
quiet, it was the quiet night. Well, actually, it's not the quiet night. The four of us are not the most quiet members,
No, you're really not.
but there are only 4 of us. Dan, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm Dan Celine. I am the landscape architect on behalf of the applicant. I'm here tonight with Attorney Bob Ament. Unfortunately, Jeff Ryther, who's the engineer on this project, couldn't be here tonight due to a health concern that came up today, which doesn't seem to be terribly serious, but painful enough to take the night off. So we're here as a continued hearing. The hearing was continued so that the applicant's representatives could meet with staff to discuss some bylaw questions, visit the site, and really discuss the appropriate way to revise the plans prior to their resubmittal. So we met on site with Shannon, had a very productive meeting. I think we have a clear understanding of the Commission's perspective on the project and expectations. After the meeting, the plan was revised and resubmitted. It was revised in several ways. The architects reduced the building footprint overall, I believe by 50 square feet. And that was entirely in the A zone. The driveway was reduced in area, if that's a B zone issue. The front walk was reduced by 100 square feet. And we added a drainage system a more conventional one that we were talking about when we were here last. But this system includes 2 inlets at the either side of the island, at the entrance to the property, one on each side, that are then connected to a leaching pit. That's provided in lieu of the previous pavement that we were discussing last time we met. Overall, the changes result in a reduction in the required mitigation to 339, I believe, square feet. We're providing 340 square feet of mitigation plantings, which happens to be about 4 times, I believe, what is required under the local bylaws, okay, due to the requirements of the Rivers Act. So, so we meet the Rivers Act and we exceed the requirements of the local bylaw by quite a margin. In addition to the mitigation plantings, we are providing restoration of the buffer area where invasive plants have I guess caused some decline in existing native plants. That restoration area is 973 square feet. And noted on the plan in a narrative is the description of the process that would be followed in the restoration of those areas, the control of the invasives, the planting of the new native plants, as well as the filing of reports on an annual basis over a period of 3 years following the completion of the work. So this follows procedures that have been, I think, are working successfully on other projects in town where we've undertaken some important restoration work. Let's see. On the matter of trees, I submitted. First of all, I submitted a letter to the commission. I hope you have it. I submitted it just, I think, yesterday, and I have copies if you don't have it. But we looked into the removal versus planting the tree question. We're taking out 5 trees at a total diameter of 80 inches. We're proposing to plant 11 trees at an estimated caliper diameter of 48 inches. Okay, so twice as many trees, but they're smaller. And but at 48 inches, I think it will be a relatively short time before we recover the 80-inch sort of goal. Question came up about a pitch pine. The applicant wished to take out this pitch pine. There was some question about that last time we met, and so we took it off the plan as being removed. But since we submitted our plan, we met with Bartlett tree experts on site and had their arborist take a look at the tree and submitted a report to me, which I have submitted to you, along with pictures. What he identified is something that I might have identified myself if my nose wasn't on the ground and was up in the trees. But the tree's been girdled by the unfortunate use of the tree as a support post for a clothesline. And so there's a chain in a wire clothesline tie around the tree. And this happened, significantly, or rather, some time ago, because the tree's grown to sort of absorb this wire to some degree. But it, according to the arborist, the damage to the tree will invite turpentine beetles because they'll be drawn to the issue. And that he's also observed that the trees that are girdled in this way are weak at that point, and in a storm tend to blow over, break where the girdling occurs. And so his recommendation based on those facts and also the fact that that tree leans decidedly towards the house that is near the line here, his recommendation is that the tree be removed. So I've, in a letter submitted to the commission, I suggested that perhaps you could consider a special condition that would enable us to remove that tree, or I could submit a plan, following the close of the hearing that would, make that a revision. But we'd like your consideration of that possibility. I think overall, I maybe can point out that, so our mitigation area is here, again, 340 square feet. Adjacent to it and to the south is the larger of two restoration areas, one here and one there. The total area in this zone is about 1,100 square feet of native planting, and this is smaller at 210. Maybe just touch on some other improvements that just remind you on this project. Presently, all the stormwater drains out onto Alder Lane, so we'll be catching all of the stormwater on the property. The septic system's been upgraded. We'll be changing the turf over to a tall fescue turf that's much more tolerant of drought and requires less irrigation. We're upgrading the irrigation system to utilize primarily drip irrigation, but also incorporate soil and rain sensors. And we've reduced the area of pervious surface on the property by 340 square feet, while also adding native planting to the buffer. So with that, I think I've covered the major issues, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Jen, do you have any other questions?
Yes, I do. When I met with you, Dan, and Bob out on site, my major reason for meeting you out there was because I asked that the riverfront plantings, in addition to the buffer plantings, be placed on the property. We had a discussion out there. I agreed to allow the riverfront plantings to be placed within that area of those yuccas and the planting bed along along the seawall. Where are the other 82? I know it was reduced, but where are the other 82 square feet of plantings on the new plan?
I'll defer to Bob on that question.
Oh, okay, because I'm confused, because we talked about removing the invasives and putting them back.
I'll let Bob answer.
Okay.
Well, previously we had,
Bob, you have to tell us who you are.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Bob Ament. I'm an attorney and I represent the applicant with Mr. Saline. Previously, the removal of the invasive plants on both sides of the property was being counted as mitigation, and that's no longer the case, but we left it all there, so we are still doing that. We calculate, as shown on the plan, that the required mitigation is 340 square feet, and that's what's shown. So we are providing that mitigation plan, which is what we discussed on site, providing that planting, while still keeping and not counting as mitigation the other improvements. I don't, if I look at the plan and guess what you're saying, because I'm not sure what the concern is.
What I'm saying
I
is
just
the
figured-
riverfront and the resource area
Yes.
buffer regs are independent of each other, kind of like the DCPC regulations.
Well, the DCPC, yes, I see what,
And this is exactly what I met out there with you guys to discuss, is where to put the riverfront area regs, because
Well,
you
it
were
never-
kind
it-
of globbing them all
I
together.
realize that the DCPC regulations, which I think are unique, do refer to those requirements being in addition to any other requirements, but I strongly would disagree that a state requirement, and just going back to the DCPC regulations work in concert with other provisions of our own bylaw. And I suppose that the commission can write its bylaws to provide for any amount of mitigation planting, including saying some over from this section and some from this section. But I don't think there's any provision in our bylaw or otherwise that would say this is cumulative. So the state has a requirement, which is, for this project, which is 340 square feet. We're complying with that. The town has a requirement for this project, which we've calculated to be 82 square feet, a pretty small area. And we're complying with that. I would disagree with Jen that those two get added. That doesn't make any sense to me. We're complying with the state regulation. We're complying with the local regulation. There's nothing that says that if you comply with one, what you've done over here doesn't comply with another requirement. So I just disagree with that very much. And I hope you would take into account that we're still going to removing all those invasives, about 1,000 or 1,100 square feet, and putting new plantings, appropriate plantings there. Those aren't different matters. I'm not saying approve something that doesn't meet the bylaw because we're doing this other stuff. I think this plan, by having the 340 square feet, meets the Rivers Act, which we seem to be agreeable to, and is more than the requirement under the town act. So that's what I'd say.
Okay, a couple of comments. One is we don't make bylaws here, we only make regulations, which we're permitted to do under the bylaw.
So please consider anything I said as meeting the regulations as opposed to bylaws.
And the other thing is that actually the mitigation calculations aren't correct either.
They're not, or they are?
They are not.
Okay.
When they have a 50 foot, the way you have to do it is there's a 50-foot decrease in A.
Mm-hmm.
Then you say there's a 116 increase in B. So within the buffer, there's a 66-foot increase. Those 66 feet are within the B buffer, so you multiply that times 2, so there should be 132 square feet of planting. Now,
under these circumstances, I don't necessarily disagree with you, and it wouldn't matter to the argument.
well, you're right, it doesn't matter to your argument, but I'm just pointing that out, and we can have a discussion.
Question?
We can have a discussion with the engineers, who I suspect are the ones who did these buffer
Well, they
calculations.
did, and I guess they're saying is that removals of
You don't get three
of
times,
impervious.
you don't get 3 times the credit for removal in A that you can
Yeah.
apply to B. We've
Yeah,
had this
that's-
discussion,
I'm
this
not
is
gonna-
how we do it.
I won't argue with you in this case, and perhaps never on that issue.
As far as
Basically,
your
you're
argument,
saying you're removing 50 square feet, so therefore, because it's in the A, you get credit for removing 3 times that?
I'm not
That's-
making, I'm
that's
not,
what this-
I think,
That's what
he's
this
not
is
doing
saying.
it, this is the engineers, and you can talk to
Yeah.
BSS.
we can revise that, but it doesn't make any difference to this plan.
Right,
in
we
this case.
understand your argument. and-
Actually, it does, because mitigation required that 232 at minus 50. Right?
No, it's 116.
Wait a minute.
The increase in B is 116. 116 minus 50 is 66. 66 times 2 is 132.
Yeah, okay.
But that's okay, we have the facts.
I understand.
And we understand your argument, right,
Mhm.
gentlemen? We all understand your argument,
Yep.
and we will take it up in deliberation. And should you have to provide another 10 foot by 13 feet of mitigation, we'll find a place to do it, and should you not, that will be a different result.
You know, you could imagine
Well, it
some
might be
other levels
easier
of
now.
regulation. The commission could have a requirement, the federal government could have a requirement, different agencies of the state could have a requirement. They're all trying to make sure that the project meets their standards. It's not cumulative. If we meet the
I understand
system,
your argument.
I think we have to meet the strictest
The
requirements.
strictest. We
Yeah.
understand.
We understand that, Bob, but
Yeah.
you also have to understand that we made some, the staff made some considerations out in the field to accommodate your project, so.
We certainly didn't think that we were not meeting the requirements or the suggestions that were made. And keep in
No, I
mind that there are a
understand,
lot of improvements to this project. It's really a good project. And we haven't taken away, as I said, that removal of the invasives. And that's a lot of planting there. That's a whole lot more than another 100 square feet or so. We're talking about a lot of new bushes.
You're
Bob,
removing
we-
invasives, and you're required to remove invasives, well, not required to remove invasives, but encouraged to remove invasives and replant that area. But that's your choice. That's not a requirement. That's a choice of the applicant. It's a great improvement. The board, the staff, encourages people to do that. But you also have to
Well, I'm just
understand
saying
that
that it
Bob, I made a lot, when I met out there with you, I made some determinations out there. I allowed plantings to go in certain areas,
Yeah.
so to accommodate your project. So all
I
we're
appreciate
saying
it.
is that,
I think so. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think that, for instance, keeping that removal of the invasives and replanting is
It's a good thing.
indicative of our
Yeah, it's a good thing.
cooperativeness and trying to make it a better project.
Mm-hmm.
And we will discuss this and take
we
into
should mitigate
consideration that
planting
we
went
want to
down.
make fair and equitable
I
decisions
didn't hear what Jen said.
across the board.
I said your mitigation plantings under our calculations actually went down. Didn't they?
No, they didn't.
Oh, they didn't,
They
I'm
went
sorry.
from 82 to
132.
132.
Okay.
They
went up
increased
a
by
bit.
that
Sorry,
50.
Bob.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't go
What-
away, gentlemen, because there might be questions on the board.
I have no questions.
Courtney has no questions. Mario has no questions.
Do you know if that, I'm assuming that
Oh, I have one question.
Wait, it's not your,
No, I know.
you don't have the floor.
I'm assuming that that's an H20 system because it's in the driveway. I would like to just verify that. That if-
Well, actually, I believe the part that is in the driveway is existing.
Exactly,
Existing
and I
five-bedroom.
would like to, the existing septic system, you're gonna have a lot of larger equipment running through there.
Right.
I'd just like to investigate that a little bit to make sure it's H20, and if it
Okay.
isn't, either mat it or
good
border it
point.
so that you're not
Yeah, good point,
damaging
Tom.
the system.
Okay.
Outside of,
Put that down as a,
I am,
Good point.
because you're gonna be upgrading the tank anyway, so you're gonna be pumping things out and looking around and scraping, so it should be easy to figure that out. I like the island drainage. I think that addressed a lot of concerns from not just us, but neighbors and such. And there is a lot of goodwill effort on this, so I look forward to deliberation.
okay. Mike,
No comments.
Tommy,
Not on quorum.
oh, you're not on quorum. That's right.
Take-
Actually, you weren't on quorum either.
I wasn't on the
Make a motion to close and take it under advisement.
Yes.
Could I s-
Wait a second. Could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further questions on the board? Jen had a question, and then
Oh,
to you.
Bob, you said that you're still in negotiations with the homeowners association.
The Wild Harbor Estates Homeowners Council has a requirement for a utility easement 15 feet wide, for a depth of 15 feet along the sidelines. The house presently is 11.2 feet from, 11.5 feet on one side, 11.2 feet on the other. It's an odd-shaped lot.
Yep.
And so presently, the house is 11.2 feet from this property line, and over here, the present house is 11.5 feet. We're actually pulling the house entirely back to meet the 15-foot requirement. So we're complying with that over here. The association, by the way, has told us that we can keep the existing encroachment. They just don't want it to be more, and they don't want any additions to be within the 15 feet. So we're actually, this is going to comply with 15 feet along this line. Over here, this point is the same as existing 11.2, and there's a bulkhead here that's also about the same distance as still shown on the plan. But this is new, and it comes to, it's not as close as this point, but there's a tiny corner. If we were to comply with the 15 feet, we'd be cutting off about 1.5 feet of it at an angle right there. And given that it's no closer to the line than where the easement area is already interrupted, we're hopeful that the association will have no problem with it. It's possible, if we don't reach an agreement on that issue, which really has nothing to do with the Conservation Commission, except we could be coming back to you or submitting a plan that shows we're lopping off a few square feet. It's actually less than 15 square feet. The total, as I said, we're actually eliminating anything within 15 feet over here. And over here, we're reducing what's within the 15 feet. We're not increasing it. We hope that they'll like these revised plans, and if not, we'll just have to make some very, very minor revisions that I'm sure will be approved administratively. So we're asking you to approve the plan that we hope to build. Any
And
questions?
Bob, that's that corner where you have that 11.5 shot from the property line to that corner?
Are you talking?
No, that one right there.
That corner?
That corner?
Yeah, that could be
Okay.
11 and a
All
half.
right. That's, I just wanted to clarify with you what I discussed outside. Okay. that's fine.
You're raising this suggests that some people from the association may have talked to you about this plan, but
It was brought up.
that's the issue, and we're real close to complying, and I hope that we can reach a friendly agreement as to whether, otherwise there'll be a very, very minor adjustment in the
That's
plan.
fine. Okay.
Just think if you reduced it 50 square feet, the mitigation plan would be, we could solve two problems with one little change.
Well, we do have to think about the integrity of the bylaw, of the regulations and following. And I really hope that you'll think a little bit about
Yeah.
this. The requirement should be to meet the strictest regulatory requirement. It is not adding a whole bunch of different levels of government together to come up with a figure that no one agency says ought to be required.
Well, that's a good point.
Okay.
You made a good argument, Bob, whether we'll buy it or not remains to be seen.
Well, if I could just add my 2 cents to that.
How about taking 100 square feet away? Then we're 50 square feet.
We really have worked hard to shrink this project from where we were last time we came in. Reducing driveway, reducing architecture,
done a good
reducing
job, yeah.
sidewalk. And we felt as though we were following the letter of our discussion in the field. Going about it in a way that, of course, because we're consultants to an owner, is you know, in the owner's interest, but following, you know, what we felt were guidelines outlined in the field. And so there was no gamemanship here. We simply recalculated our mitigation requirements and followed, you know, Bob's guidance on the matter of additive approach versus the other. But I just wanted to add to that the whole property virtually is within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. Okay, and I just want to point out that in addition to the areas that we have been pointing to here that are within the buffer, we're also using a considerable number of native plants throughout the property, including, you know, inkberries and red cedars and American hollies and ferns and juniper and more inkberry and holly and ferns. And it's really the ornamental plants on this property are the vast minority, you know, of plants. So you know, I would hope that you'd take that into consideration as well when you're asking yourselves or discussing whether we have met an appropriate target.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. Final opportunity for anyone to make comments. except you can't make comments. Susan can't make comments. Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for the lucid comment.
Since you're here,
We need you again.
Am I going to discuss the outline case tonight?
are we going to discuss it? No.
Thank you.
What are we going to discuss?
But we have a continued enforcement order. Ronald Bowers, trustee, 43 Gunning Point, which was resolved last week, withdrawn. Well, it's not withdrawn, it's
No.
our enforcement.
That's what I'm saying. The staff was recommending the board withdraw its enforcement order because the RDA was submitted
Right,
and the situation is being resolved through the RDA process.
right.
Can I ask if an enforcement order actually was ever issued?
No.
Oh, I thought it
We're
was,
saying
sorry.
we're not, we're terminating that process.
Right, I
will
just was
second.
confused by.
Yeah, sorry about
So
that.
we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous,
Terminate's a
so
good
moved.
word. We still have Lartigue, Madam Chair.
Yes, you see, you missed it.
On-table tea.
Second.
Can I address that question, or that,
No.
because,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
I did. I'm also.
Now we're back to Lartigue.
oh,
Accuse
okay.
myself.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, wait a second, let me announce
Okay.
it again, because we had to skip it.
Okay.
Martha and Henry Lartigue, would you like to present it?
Well, I think I should probably address it
Okay,
on behalf of the applicant.
good, I hope so.
Right.
167 Fay Road, Woods Hole, for permission to remove invasive vegetation and to restore approximately 10,700 square feet with native vegetation and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Madam Chairman, can we just hang on 1 second?
I'm going to recuse myself.
Right. We moved a little faster than we thought we would tonight.
I'll address the,
Oh, there's more to it? There's more to the story?
yeah,
All right. It's not going to be simple?
it'll be simple.
Oh, very simple?
Yeah.
Oh,
Shall we wait?
yeah.
I'm just going to say I'll hold any of my comments until after Mr. Celine's comments.
Okay.
Mr. Celine.
Okay. I am Dan Soline, and I am a consultant to Martha and Henry Lartigue. I've been the landscape architect on their project on Fay Road. The issue that is on the agenda, here tonight, it regards the restoration of the wetland resource area, I guess. But it's not an aspect of the project that I have been the primary consultant for. Firm by the name of Blue Flax, who you may know, Teresa
Yeah.
Sprague, has prepared a plan that is the subject of this agenda item. And although I'm been aware of the plan and have input on the plan, it's really Teresa's role in the project and on the team to present it and to be here tonight to represent it. And
She's not here.
And she's not here, and I don't know why, because really her communications have been with BSS Design, who has been really the administrative consultant for the project. So I was not aware that it was on the agenda tonight, and apparently Teresa wasn't either. So.
Oh, sorry about that, Dan.
So-
We were
no,
waiting
no,
for
it's our
you.
fault.
We'll-
But I would ask that maybe we continue
We're
this
gonna have a
here.
good-
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, we can.
So when
continue
should we
that.
continue it to?
Well, to a meeting that
It's gonna have to
is
be the
most convenient
19th.
for you.
It's gonna have to be the
We'll work with that.
19th.
19th? We don't have anything else, right? We're keeping the 19th short, remember?
Well, right now, Madam Chairman, we have we have 65 Falmouth Heights Road continued to that date,
The
and
first one. is
Linda
continued.
Spence continued to that date, and as of today, one additional notice.
Okay, so any other notices that come in, push to the next.
We'll attempt to do that if it falls within the regulatory timeframe. I will attempt to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
19th?
Thank you, Dan.
Could we-
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
no,
Continue
Request
to?
the applicant.
What's
Yeah,
the-
19.
At the request of the applicant, I move to continue this hearing until June 19th.
Second.
Are we talking about June 19th?
Yeah,
We're in June.
Okay.
June.
So,
You
2
want
weeks.
July?
no, that'd be fine, because there's nothing more we need to submit, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
that's
Okay,
fine.
That's good, thank you.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to continue to June 19th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, gentlemen. Vote orders of conditions. Donald and Nancy Colleran, 11 Foster Road, East Falmouth. Do we have a quorum for this?
Yes. Tony, Mike, Betsy, Tom, Mario, and Court.
Okay.
And this is the removal of those, the pilings along the
Oh, right,
water.
right, right.
Colleran and Wilmette, side by side, are going to be doing that. They're going to be using the construction access over McGann's property,
Right.
a couple of doors
They're
down.
going to use vegetable oil in the,
Vegetable oil and the thing, and they're going to be
Yep.
removing those obstructions that lay right along the water's edge.
and taking them immediately.
Yes, off-site
Off-site.
and disposed of
Properly.
properly. Yes. For the construction access, you're well aware of, it's the one you've reviewed multiple
Right.
times over McGann's property, and all of this work on those 3 properties will actually be done soon.
Right.
So,
Were these opened up simultaneously?
Well, we have to vote them separately.
Okay.
So what she
Alright.
said for this will be the same for the next, and the
I move
quorum is the
to,
same.
I move to accept the order as discussed on 11 Foster Road.
Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Okay, Robert, we met, 17 Foster Road. It's the same that Jen just said, it's just a different property.
basically, there's the obstruction, that old bulkhead
Walkway, it was a
structure,
walkway,
walkway that
yeah.
was built in the 40s out there, that is
I think it was
just,
built turn of the last century,
yeah.
20s,
it's
30s.
really, really, been there for quite a while.
Okay, can we have a
And it's
motion?
now dangerous.
I make a motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Chapcoit Associates, care of Jonathan Harley, 20 and 26 Associates Road.
Yes, Madam Chairman, that is the big reconstruction of the pier, yes. Nope, I'm gonna get you the quote on that, Susan. That might be a little bit different. Hang on, sorry. That is Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Mario, and Court. Not Tom. And that is the reconstruction of the
Right,
big concrete pier.
regrouting and
Yep.
so forth.
There were concerns about excavating the dune. They came back with that, that coring information. You did speak about a series of photographs as a special condition before, after, during, things like that.
Yeah, my major concern with that project is a safety concern.
Yes.
But anybody doing that, any kind of trench like that would require,
A trench box to meet OSHA requirements and
Yep.
things like that. Yep.
I'll move to accept the order as discussed.
thanks, Court. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Is there any additional special conditions any of the board members would like to put on, other than the methodology that they,
No, I think
Detailed
they're
out,
gonna do that
the
work, and they're gonna
Yep.
replant that dune
and that'll all
area.
be detailed out in your special conditions following their methodology, series of photos. Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to accept that the order is discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. The Gold Family Realty Trust, care of David Peterson, 236 Acapesket Road.
Yes, Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom, Mario, and Court. This is the addition on Acapasket Road, but a component of their project was to do the restoration and mitigation on that primary and
bank.
secondary coastal bank. I met out there with the applicant, the landscaper that will be doing that restoration work. Spoke to them at length. We'll be meeting with them out there again. They did submit, they wanted a real quick turnaround on the hearing, so they submitted a methodology and more of a monitoring plan and methodology to us that Monday before the hearing. It didn't really detail out the species, so again, they'll need to provide something to us prior to doing the work, and that
Right.
was
But
discussed
you can
at
review
the
that.
hearing.
You can review that.
Yeah.
I enthusiastically,
But we did discuss that with them at the hearing, and
Right.
I do believe their landscaper was here that night as
He
well.
was.
yes,
Yeah.
I was.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it the normal business of the commission to require a monitoring program for,
Oh, there will be, yeah, there'll
Like
be
a
a
three-year,
monitoring,
maybe?
3-year monitoring
Yeah. Well,
program.
especially,
Yeah.
I mean, we often do, but especially if it's a big restoration project like this, we would do that.
I enthusiastically make a motion to accept the order as discussed with the caveats as discussed by the administrator.
Second?
Get more detailed plan on site prior to the work. We're gonna flag, Ed was concerned with the trees that will be remaining, he wants us to flag those.
Right, or them to flag them and you to check them.
Yeah, I mean, they did a nice job submitting their management and monitoring plan, but it just needs to be a little bit more detailed,
Yeah,
and we'll
and
be
I was in
fine.
the field with you,
Yeah.
with them,
Yeah.
and they
And then
pointed
they
out the
both- yeah,
trees that are
it'll
gonna
be
be
fine.
saved. Okay, motion and second on the table to accept the order as discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous, so moved. Robert,
Mario, I'd be happy to give you a copy of that.
Rotondi,
more
92
detailed
Edgewater
plan if you
Drive
wanna look
East.
at it.
Jen,
review it?
Jen,
Yes, ma'am?
the next one.
92 Edgewater?
Right, we need the
Oh, Coral.
quorum.
1 second, Madam Chairman. Okay. One more second. Now she's going too fast for me. Whipping right along. 92. You remember this one? We had to put the drainage in the driveway because they had to pitch the driveway. Oh, quorum.
Drainage in the driveway?
The
Yeah.
driveway drainage was the problem. They needed to do the swale on the side of the house.
Oh, yes, I
Yes.
remember this one.
It's all
Protect the
coming
tree.
back to us now. We had a week off.
I know.
We had a week off. That affects us. I can't find the quorum for this one. Why do I have Moses Road?
What is this one?
92 Edgewater Drive East.
Oh, wait, no? Tom, Betsy, can you grab that? For some reason, I don't have this one.
You and I were out there.
Yep. I don't see it here.
Hold on, gunning, no.
Are you sure it's not over there?
I don't see it.
Okay.
Maybe this guy back.
Everybody remember this project? Does everybody remember being at 2 hearings for it?
Yes.
Look on the minutes of that meeting here.
Well, we had 2 meetings.
No, that's Heights.
Hang on, I'll come over there, Madam Chairman.
I don't see it. all
be
here.
on one, but I can't remember if I was on the second.
Okay, the first hearing was on May 15th. And the people present were Betsy, Tom, myself, Mike, and Jennifer McKay. So there were 4 of us. And then
Oh,
on,
so it was just 4 of us the first time?
yeah, and it was continued to May 22. And on
Yeah.
May 22, present, well, let's see, Betsy, you to be on the core, and Tom, and myself, Mike Powers,
So it's just those 4, because
Right.
that were all,
Yep.
we were the only ones first time through.
It was continued to the 15th?
yeah, it was continued, the first week it was, first it was heard on the 15th, and then it was heard, and then it was continued to the 22nd, and it was closed.
Somehow she put it
Okay.
back in the thing.
So it's the 4 of us.
Okay.
Are you sure that's right? Because I remember Michelle
We closed it.
discussing it. the
No,
first-
Michelle wanted
Michelle
it.
was here.
She specifically wanted the drainage at the end.
Right.
And she was here at both of them. But as long as,
But she was absent on the 15th.
we
She was
really
here.
opened it? We didn't just
It's-
open and continue?
It was on May 1st, then it was continued to the 5th,
But did we open it
and
on
then
the
it was,
15th?
no.
We didn't open it on the 15th. We
We
just
didn't
continued
open it on the 15th, we opened it on the 22nd.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So if it didn't open.
Yeah,
then
we
the
heard it
quorum-
May 1st, and then we heard it on the
Okay, so
22nd.
who was here on the 22nd?
You, Tom, myself, Michelle isn't here, Ed isn't here, Tom was here, Mario was here,
You were all here.
Mike Powers
And
was
were
here.
we all here the first time? Does everybody remember when this
No,
was first?
you were not all,
Well, the first time was May 1st.
I was here May 1st,
was it
not
open
15th.
or?
Yes,
Yeah, it was opened on May 1st.
It was
May
not-
15th, we didn't hear it. It was continued.
Okay, so then the quorum, there's no quorum on that. then.
So you were here, I was here, you were here, you were here. Did you hear it when it first opened?
Not when it first opened.
Okay, then you don't vote. The rest of us vote. Got it?
Edgewater
That's
Drive,
on my report and Tom.
Yes. Yeah,
yes.
yes.
Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom, Courtney.
Yeah.
Okay. Drainage, putting the addition on,
Right.
they did the drainage, they pitched the driveway, so the drainage is going into the swale. There were a lot of
not
concerns
a
with the
swale.
height, not a swale, but the lower
It's
area. There were a lot of
No,
concerns with
it's
the
not a swale.
height.
It's a,
Drywall?
like a dry well.
Diffuser.
It's a diffuser.
That's my other plan. Find a plan that they submitted on the
Right.
15th.
I'm seeing it.
The other plan.
Where's it say? Proposed gutter inlet. Yeah, Michelle asked for a swale, she wanted it to be bioremediated.
Yep.
They chose not to do that because they want to be able to drive over that area.
Oh, okay, yep. And then there was concerns with the mitigation plantings and the neighbor didn't want the mitigation
Right,
planting.
and they moved
So
it
they
to
moved those
accommodate that, right.
to accommodate the neighbor. And here's my plan, yeah, you're right. They put it into the diffuser.
everything else
They
was-
pitched everything else. There's concerns about the height of the proposed addition, but that doesn't fall within your purview.
Right, we asked about the wall and they gave us
Yep.
some wall detail.
There were no actual special conditions that I remember you particularly putting on there except
Oh, yeah.
maintaining that drainage
Put weep holes in
structure.
the wall.
Weep holes. Okay.
Yeah, we did discuss that,
Yes,
but just to remind them.
absolutely.
All right.
Make a motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
Any further comments? Are you speaking away?
No,
Fine.
I'm here.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have New Silver Beach.
Oh, we have no,
Oh,
we do?
we do?
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
who-
another
who
page.
tabled
Oh,
Shame on
another
me.
page. New Silver Beach Association.
I have that one.
Oh, we're finding that.
Nope, I got it. Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom, Mario, Courtney. They wanted to clean the beach on a more regular basis to remove the seaweed, as opposed to once every 3 weeks that was written in their original order.
Well, wait a minute, why does it have to be a set period of time between cleanings? Why can't it be simply, if a seaweed explosion happens, they can remove it, but if there's no
This is what I don't
major
understand. That
rack
was already in their original order. Their
Well, I
original
just- I
order
think-
says it's
Hang on.
once a month, something like once a month.
once a month.
But if there's a reason to do it more frequently, like if there's a storm that dumps seaweed there,
Right.
then they can
I
call
think-
up and get permission to do
Okay,
it.
yeah,
I
right,
don't see,
that's fine,
I don't
yeah.
see a reason,
I think that Dave just wanted it to be a little simpler I can understand why they wanted to word it that way as opposed to the first indicator being once a month. But if we can put in there no more than, then we've actually restricted them more severely than not. Because if you're just once a month and then, but if you have an event, you call.
We kindly request the ability to clean the property on a weekly basis.
That's what they requested.
Yes. But it's also, the rack line would be allowed to stay on those properties that are not included in this amendment. And those are
Yeah.
two of them in
I
between.
can just tell you from my observation on beaches in Falmouth, there are a lot of beaches that do not have permission to remove their rack lines, that remove their rack lines on a regular basis.
And the applicant here is requesting it under,
No,
yeah. But-
I mean, I don't have a problem, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
saying that there are properties that nearby where they're not gonna remove their rack line, that's not realistic. Those people are gonna go out with their rake, and they're gonna remove their rack line.
Seeing that the rack line really acts as wildlife habitat,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, I mean, I constantly see, I even see red-winged blackbirds and shorebirds
Yeah, there's
picking
lots of
through
little-
the rack line.
Yeah, if you pick up the
eating.
rack, you see all those little,
Little amphipods and stuff.
Amphipods, yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to me weekly, that means that we're giving them permission to clean it, whether it really needs a cleaning or not. Go in once a week and remove an important element of wildlife habitat. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that or not.
Well, I think that it was not their intent. What I took out of the conversation was that they'd have the ability to do it once a week, not necessarily that they,
no, it's their intent.
It's once a month,
What
I
they,
thought, right?
what they said, that if I were to quote what they said, we want a pristine beach.
yes, that was a discussion.
You remember that phrase?
Yes, I do.
And how is it now? Once a month?
Once a month,
every
but
3 weeks.
once every 3 weeks.
Actually, it's worded like
That they
this.
can come in.
But they can come in at any time if there is a storm.
It's an
Or
administrative.
they have a,
Yeah,
or they have a function on the beach. Or
Yeah.
That was a,
Maintenance activities shall not be performed more than once a month unless approved in writing by the Conservation Department. Activities can occur during the time frame of May 1st and October 31st of each year. And they want basically,
they want from once a month to once a week.
yes, without having to contact us.
but that wouldn't be how,
Tell you the truth, I don't see how they're possibly gonna have, since Bruce is supposed to do this work, there's no way Bruce is gonna be there once a week.
And it says, item number 3, the special condition indicates the work shall not be performed more than once a month. Members of the association would like to see the worked on a more frequent basis in reviewing the order of conditions for the town of Falmouth and Old Silver Beach Association. We don't see a monthly restriction as a requirement. We kindly request the Conservation Commission review our order of conditions to remove that restriction. And then we put in the record that new guidance on management of seaweed at recreational beaches into the record.
Which discusses what the function of,
Yes. And
Washed
it
up
says
seaweed
that
is.
some of the rocks should be allowed to stack.
And they said they would follow those provisions provided in that handbook? Is
They
that-
hadn't seen it, it had just come in that, like, the day before their hearing.
Right.
We got it in that Tuesday, I think, from CZM.
Right. But that will be part of their
It
condition?
doesn't, it's part of the record, it doesn't go as far as giving recommendations, it just is a, management of it doesn't even say follow these policies, it just almost gives, as
It talks
Betsy
about what
said,
the
talks about the
function
function of seaweed, the function of a rack line, what's important, you should leave some of the rack line for wildlife habitat, but it stops short of saying clean beaches on this frequency.
Right.
And
I
Well,
would
that's gonna
say, since
change,
we would
but-
like to
Yeah.
encourage, on both private and public recreational beaches, that some rack line be continued, why don't we say that they have permission to do it no more frequently than once a week, but that they are also required to have some islands, 10% of the beach during each weekly period should have rack remaining. And then they can decide where that's gonna be.
That could migrate from
That
one
can
side.
migrate from one side to the other.
So 10% of the rack line
10% of the rack line
is to be left.
is to be left.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, that works for me.
And then at some point, when
Do
some
they
of
still
us.
have to notify the staff?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay. And they can notify us by email, remember we went through the
Correct.
whole
That was
email
the-
of email and snail mail and all that?
right. And maybe if this is a policy, maybe we could start in,
But the staff is not gonna
no,
drop
but
everything and run off to New Silver every time someone calls
Of
because
course not, but
seaweed,
it's something-
offending seaweed is on the beach. I mean, we just won't be able to handle those types of requests.
because offending seaweed is on the beach.
Remember the lady in the tide?
Courtney?
Am I correct that in the testimony that we heard on this, was it the way in which the winds and currents are in that particular beach, that they're really, the seaweed just sort of funnels?
That was the testimony we heard.
Yeah, and is that the fact?
I don't know, I haven't
We
looked
we
at the
don't know.
winds and the
but
tides and the
if that
currents
is
of that
true,
area, Courtney.
then that's probably an area that favors migrating birds because there's food there, if some rack remains.
So 10%, I move that we accept that.
second.
Okay, is everybody? Okay,
That works.
there's a motion and a second on the table to accept
Courtney made a motion, and I made the second.
this as Jen got down the details and will put it in final form. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Let me get Courtney.